Alright guys, first and foremost, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. I do truly appreciate it, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you being here as well. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Ganyu's base stats and some of her other skills because I got a comment a few videos ago and they stated why nobody has talked about Ganyu's stats and her attacks and things of that nature, and I thought to myself, that's a fantastic idea. I never talked about it myself, and I haven't really seen anybody else talk about it. And as I started to look into it a little bit more, I noticed that Ganyu is looking pretty nutty. Go ahead and take a shot. And it made me really want to go ahead and try and pull for her, because then I started thinking of team compositions, how I can utilize her, and I will speak about that in today's video as well. So I do hope you enjoy. I hope you get something from it, and let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So when we take a look at Ganyu, when we look at her base attack stat, it is at 311, right? And we're just taking a look at level 80. I think that's going to be the most realistic for most people. So 311 for the base attack. Now I have all the other bow users that are currently in the game as of right now. We have Amber, and if we take a look at Amber's base attack stat at level 80 is 208. Not a huge shocker there. I got Venti pulled up here as well. If we take a look at Venti's, it is at 245. We have the girl Official at level 80 is 227. Tartaglia or Child at 280 at level 80, and then Diona at 198 at level 80. So you can see that Ganyu already base attack stat is the highest one in the game, and so that already makes her a really good DPS character, and I think she is going to be a really good DPS character once we get into her skills and how you can maybe utilize her, or I should better say how I'm going to utilize her. So base attack stat is absolutely fantastic. Now when we take a look at her charge attack, or aim shots I should say, when you look at all the bow users based off of this information, really quickly, massive shout out to Honey Hunter World for providing this information, always keeping it updated. Thank you so much. If we take a look at the aim shots for all bow users in the game currently right now, they're all the same. So if you take a look at level 8, they're all going to be round up to 75%. If we take a look at Amber, just to give you an idea of context, Amber level 8 75%, same with Venti level 8 75%. So you can see that they're all the same, as well as the fully charged aim shot is all the same for all of the characters across the board. So Venti 198. We go back to Ganyu, level 8 is going to be 198. We'll take a look just once again for context. If we move over to Child, fully aim shot level 8 198. So they're all the same, as well as the aim shot 75%. So they're all the same across the board, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm just double checking to make sure. Yeah, across the board they're all the same for each bow user or character in the game currently right now. And so that all remains the same, but what Ganyu has, which I'm sure you're already aware of, is that Frostflake arrow. That's that charge level 2, where she gets that second charge of the Frostflake arrow, and if you go to level 8, that's where she separates herself with a 205, I just round up, 5% damage on that, which obviously exceeds the 198. And then you take a look at the Frostflake arrow bloom damage, and that is where the Frostflake arrow blooms after hitting its target, dealing AoE cryo damage, and now we're looking at that at level 8 at 348%. Absolutely incredible. So she then starts to separate herself that way, because no other bow user in the game has that second charge shot mechanic that Ganyu is going to present when she drops, and so that starts to separate herself damage wise. Now I know you're stating that you have to charge it to level 2 to get that off, and then to have it bloom, right? So you may not have the opportunity to do that as enemies are coming after you and attacking you and things of that nature. Well, that's where her kit suits her so really well. And once again, well, I'll have to take a look at this in game and test it, but that's where she has her E skill, where she can taunt the enemies. So it gets the focus off of her and puts the focus on the Ice Lotus, to where she's taunting the enemies. And then if you have somebody like Zhongli on your team, or a Venti on your team, to where, like I do, and this is where I'm really excited about Ganyu putting her on the main team, because you can then bring them all together with Venti. You can petrify them with Zhongli, so you can have ways to then bring in your Ganyu and start doing charge attacks and charging up that level 2 and doing some massive amount of damage. And then you start to speak about the artifacts that you can apply on her, and then you start to see that things become pretty ridiculous, and Ganyu starts to get extremely exciting from a DPS standpoint. So not to mention, you can gather them all together, taunt them, petrify them if you have the right, obviously the right characters. You have to have those characters. This is just speaking from my own team comp standpoint. And then you have this really cool elemental burst where you can then have them together and then do this elemental burst, and it will last for 15 seconds with only an energy cost of 60, which is really nice. And you're going to be doing that AoE cryo damage to all of the enemies that are in that area, and it's just going to be really nice. You're going to be doing a lot of DPS, and I think Ganyu is going to be extremely strong in that aspect. So I'm super excited about that. And that's when I mentioned, when I started to look at her base attacks, when I started to look at what damage she can do on her charge attacks and stuff like that, and how it starts to separate herself from the other bow users, it started to get me excited about Ganyu, and I'm really excited to try her out and get her on the team and see exactly what she can do. And then once you start to get into constellations, things just start to become ridiculous at that point. If you go to C2, after firing a Frostblade arrow, the crit rate of subsequent Frostblade arrows and their resulting bloom effects is increased by 20% for 5 seconds. Oh, that's C1. Excuse me. No, that's just her passive talent. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. This is even crazier. That's just her passive talent. Where she's, excuse me, I don't know what I was thinking. Crit rate and the bloom effects is increased by 20%. That's incredible. And then you go to her other passive talent, Celestial Shower grants a 20% cryo damage bonus to active party members in the AoE. So she has that supporting capability, which is really nice. And then, no, my camera, not my camera, my computer, my screen. Screen and no. All right, I'm dead. Anyways, and then moving on from there, you go. That was a stream reference. If you guys came out to the streams, I do that for when people die. Anyways, I might cut that out. And then you go over to her constellations, and then this is where things become extremely nutty. Take another shot. Dew Drinker, taking damage from a charge level 2 Frostblade arrow or Frostblade arrow bloom decreases opponent's cryo resistance by 15%. For 6 seconds. This is crazy because what you can do is you can gather them with Venti. Now, keep it, or Sucrose, whoever you have. You can then go ahead and drop your taunt. You can then go ahead and charge up your arrow to level 2, right? That'll give you opportunity to do that. And now you're decreasing their resistance by 15%. You pop the elemental burst. You then go back into your charge shots, and you're doing that much more damage. Absolutely incredible, and that's for 6 seconds. And then a hit regenerates 2 energy for Ganyu. She's now becoming a battery for herself, and this effect can only occur once per charge level 2 Frostblade arrow, regardless if the Frostblade arrow itself or its bloom hits the target. So you have to keep that in mind, but that's incredible. And then C2, the Trail of Shilin, gains 1 additional charge, which means you can then go ahead and do that once again. Absolutely incredible. And then you move on to C3. That is just a talent upgrade. And then C4, opponent standing within the AoE of the Celestial Shower takes increased damage. This effect strengthens over time. Increased damage taken begins at 5% and increases by 5% every 3 seconds, up to a maximum of 25%. The effect lingers for 3 seconds after the opponent leaves the AoE, so they're still getting the damage. Ganyu starts to become ridiculous. Now, I understand once we start talking about constellations, this is really for individuals that can afford or can be able to go in deep if this is a character that they're super excited for. I know this is not going to be for everybody, but nonetheless, think about down the road when Ganyu comes back and you want to, pull again, or if she's on another banner that you're excited for another character to be on. You pull dupes of her. This is going to be extremely valuable. So this is also for future tense as well. And then C6, using Trail of Xinlin, causes the next Frostblade arrow shot within 30 seconds to not even require a charging. So you start to see how everything comes together, and she becomes an absolutely insane character. So I am over the moon excited about Ganyu after reading into it a little bit more and after really digesting her base attack stat. Even with her, like, if we take a look at her base HP, we'll compare it to Venti at 9,000. At level 80, Venti's at 9,000. You know, they're roughly around the same. Defense 622 for Venti, and I'm just using Venti as a marker. 586, so she's a little bit squishier. Crit damage at 88.4. Oh, he has the energy recharge. I think Child has the crit damage. He has hydro damage. Does Fischl have the crit damage? Maybe it's just her. Yeah, okay, it's just her because she has the attack percentage for the stat progression. I don't think Amber has it as well. Yeah, okay, so she has the crit. Oh, she has crit damage as a stat. I just registered in my mind. She's nut. Yeah, she's nutty. She's nutty. Take another shot. Take another 2 shots. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this gave you a little more insight of how good Ganyu is going to be. At the end of the day, this video wasn't to persuade you to pull for Ganyu. It's just to give you an insight of how good she's going to be able to be, her potential, and just showing off her base stats, because I noticed from that comment that I haven't done that and I wanted to do that. So there you go. Anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. And until next time, my boys, until next time, it's your homie Cody GT, and I'm out. Bye, guys.